is Suit Up Sports. Suit Up Sports. Where opinions are as sharp as a tailored suit. No fluff, no gimmicks, just unfiltered, hard-hitting takes on sports and a whole lot more. It's time to suit up. Now here's your host, DJ the Suit Stout.
Welcome to Suit Up Sports. I'm DJ the Suit Stout, along with my boy Mark Yarbro. Mark, how you doing, buddy?
Doing good, DJ. Thanks for having me back. A lot to chop up today, so looking forward to getting into it.
Man, I'll tell you what. I'm glad we didn't do this show last night because
you're running a little hot, were you?
Was running hot. You know, had some whiskeys in me.
Yeah, you had a rough afternoon.
Rough afternoon. I can't have nice things. You know, my teams all stink minus Notre Dame, and that's still out. We'll still see about that. But man, you talk about a change in a week.
What a difference a week makes, right? We sat here last Monday feeling good. City was on fire. There was going to be a parade.
Yeah, I mean,
you know, this and the defense and Rico Dowdle and all that, and then. Yeah, yesterday.
Well, I'm gonna start by saying this. I know fans, and I'm a fan. We tend to overreact, and it's not just a Panther fan base; it's every fan base,
particularly in the NFL.
Yeah,
it is literally a week-to-week proposition.
Yep.
I mean, you see it. You know, look at the Steelers last night. As good as they looked last week against the Colts, they looked horrible last night. Panthers obviously looked horrible yesterday.
Yeah.
You know, the Dolphins, who we wrote off for dead 2 weeks ago, looked like a damn Super Bowl contender yesterday.
The Bills. Yeah. And so I want to preface what I'm getting ready to say by saying I understand fans overreact. But I'm going to try to be objective, even though I'm going to be pissed and negative by saying that I'm not just judging what I'm going to say off of yesterday's game, which was an abysmal loss for the Panthers.
Yes,
they were unprepared. There's not one good thing that you can point out except maybe Derek Brown. Everyone, J.C. Horn, gave up two bad, touchdown and a big play. Nick Scorton played well. I'll give him credit too.
He had a good game.
But we couldn't run the ball. The offensive line couldn't protect. Canales made no adjustments in the second half. He's afraid to throw the ball downfield. We have one pass completion, if I'm not mistaken, over 35 yards this year. And that came against Arizona when we were getting our butts whooped, and Tet caught like a 10-yard slant and took it 39 yards.
Right.
We don't throw the ball downfield. Canales made no adjustments. The team was unprepared, and I understand that it takes a team time to learn how to handle success. And I love this whole victory Monday after beating Green Bay and whatever. We're all feeling good. Okay, great. But this team flopped as bad as you can flop. And they had a lot of help that tried to help them.
Yes, the Saints were begging them to stay in the game and win it with the mistakes. And then,
I mean, you had the interception by Bryce that was called back by a roughing the passer.
Right.
You had I've never seen that call on that blocked field goal in my life.
Rule. That's the Leon Lett rule.
I've seen it one time.
I haven't seen it since then.
And when they blocked the field goal, not one time did it cross my mind that was going to be the call. When they came back from break and we had the ball, I had no idea what the hell was going on.
Yeah.
They tried to help us, and yet between Bryce and Jimmy Horn fumbling, Bryce interception, which was awful, threw it right to the DB, didn't read the defense at all on that.
I will give the Saints a little bit of credit. They showed blitz.
Yep,
and the dude made a really good play, but it's a terrible throw.
Bryce he has to read that.
Yeah, exactly. And terrible read by him.
And so here's where I stand on the Panthers. And again, I'm prefacing this by saying this is a big picture. I'm not just basing off this game, but this game cemented some things for me.
Yes.
I have been a big Bryce Young supporter. I like Bryce Young. I think he's a great kid. I think he has potential to be a solid NFL backup. He is not a starting quarterback in this league. He's not. He's going to show flashes, but if you watch quarterback play in the NFL or college, you name me a team that is a good team, let's just say in the NFL, that doesn't have a quarterback that can put the team on their shoulders.
Yeah.
Not just on the last drive, because I know Bryce has good numbers on the last drive of a game, but in the second quarter, in the third quarter. And it could be with their legs. It could be with an unbelievable throw. It could be whatever. And Bryce doesn't have it. And I hate to give Frank Garcia credit. He's on his Frank Garcia golf tour again today.
Yes.
And I hate to give him credit because he's pointed that out about Bryce from day one, that there's nothing about Bryce that can take over a game. And I would fight with him on, well, he's accurate and he's smart and he makes good decisions. Well, that's not good enough. And he's not doing that, by the way. He's making some bad decisions.
Yeah, I mean, look at the two quarterbacks yesterday. You watch those two quarterbacks. Which quarterback do you feel like you'd rather have yesterday? I'd rather have Tyler
not even close. And I know that's only one game, but guess what? He made more plays yesterday in that game than Bryce has made all year, not counting the Arizona game when Bryce threw for 300-something yards, but we were losing by 20.
He didn't have a choice but to throw.
Exactly. And Arizona's defense had totally just backed off. So listen, this isn't a crap on Bryce, but he is not the guy, which puts the Panthers. And by the way, I also want to say this: Canales, who's supposed to be this offensive guru, quarterback whisperer, we heard it with Geno Smith and Russell Wilson and Baker Mayfield. Either he just doesn't trust Bryce at all,
which I think has a lot to do with what you see from Bryce.
Because I don't want to hear the weapon crap.
Yeah.
They spent their last two first-round picks on receivers.
Yeah, you can't play that card.
No, I don't want to hear it. Ted McMillan, even though he's still dropping way too many balls that I think he should catch, and now I'm not talking easy catches. I mean, Bryce was behind everybody yesterday, but he still had a couple that he should have caught. But Ted McMillan is proven to be a very good receiver and is only going to get better. Xavier Legette, on the other hand, stinks.
Yeah.
He stinks. Should he have caught that ball in the end zone? I mean, I don't know, but he should have at least made a better effort than that.
Chris Olave caught a damn ball one-handed.
Correct.
I saw catches yesterday that Xavier Legette couldn't make if you gave him 100 tries at it.
He had 0 catches. I didn't even know.
That was one target.
One target. I didn't even know if he was playing. At one point in time, I said, "Is he hurt? Did he even play?"
And again, this is a guy that you traded into the end of the first round to take. Meanwhile,
you're going to say it. You're going to kill me here.
I hate to say it because I'm going to pat myself on the back.
You're going to kill it.
But I'm right. It's proven ever. If you watched the game last night, wearing number 15 for the Los Angeles Chargers, who's that guy? That's Ladd McConkey. He could have been here.
Yep.
They wouldn't even have to trade into the first round again.
They
could have got it right in the second round.
Stayed right there and
instead, they chose to get out of the second round, move up, and take Legette.
Legette is done. He can't play. I don't know if it's because he does. I don't think it's an effort thing with him, like some people think. I don't think it's effort. I just think that number one, he just isn't that good.
He's just a guy.
Just because he's just a guy, and maybe he doesn't understand the playbook. We've heard a lot of stuff that maybe he struggles on certain. Well, guess what? He can't play. I don't want to. Enough of him. I'd rather see them play Coker and Tremaine and some of these other guys who at least catch the ball and get open and block. I mean, you saw Coker yesterday, even though I think he only had 3 catches, but he had a couple great blocks. One on the Dowdle touchdown, the only touchdown of the game. But Xavier Legette ain't it.
Yeah, and I want to go back to what you're talking about not throwing the ball down the field, and check out Josh Norris on Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it.
Yep.
He had some great stats this morning about how different this offense is as opposed to when they were playing well down the stretch last year when Bryce came back from being benched and how they threw the ball down the field. And they're not doing that this year. They are not throwing the ball down the field. And to me, DJ, it goes back to what you said, trust.
Yeah.
I don't think Dave Canales firmly trusts Bryce Young. I don't care what he says. He's not going to say anything different out in front of the media. But he benched him last year.
Yep.
And that just doesn't go away. And I'm just convinced that he doesn't fully trust him to make throws down the field. And he's good with, well, if we can run the ball and play solid defense, we can win it. That's not sustainable.
Nope.
It's good for a week. And for the life of me, I don't know why the Packers didn't do what the Saints did yesterday and just dare Bryce Young to beat them.
Yep.
And Mark Schlereth said from the beginning yesterday,
he sure did.
The Saints are going to dare Bryce Young to beat them. If you can beat us, we'll tip our hat and congratulations. But guess what? He couldn't do it.
Nope. And you know what? Schlereth also pointed out in the third quarter that Canales and the Panthers never even adjusted the protections to help Bryce in certain things. So I'm not laying all this on Bryce.
Yeah.
Not at all.
No, this was a team loss.
This is a team loss. But with that being said, I have now seen enough over the years with Bryce that he will be a solid backup in this league. He's not a starting quarterback. And if he is, you're in trouble because he's not a guy that can take over a game. And again, I don't want to hear weapons. He's got one of the best running backs in the league. The offensive line until yesterday had been playing well, even when they were piecing stuff together. That's why I think the game plan yesterday was bad. You hear guys like Derek Brown, some of these guys say that the practices weren't good this week. That's on the coach. So, last week I sat there and said that I'm starting to gain a little more confidence in Canales. And again, I'm trying not to overreact, but you can't be I know he's learning, but you can't have a crap game like they did yesterday, coming off a huge win, and have players say that practice stunk and they weren't practicing well and they weren't prepared. You can't have that.
And DJ, sometimes when you're a young group, and Dave Canales, obviously his first time as a head coach, that's when you got to go harder.
No doubt.
Coming off a win like that last week, and look, the Packers didn't help themselves last week. It wasn't all what the Panthers did, but they did enough to win the game. But that to me is when a coach needs to go harder because this team is still learning how to handle success. And obviously they showed yesterday they're not ready to handle success. They weren't prepared. And when you see comments like you saw and heard after the game, that's telling. It just says, nope, they're not ready to take that next step. And it's just, you take a step forward, and yesterday they took a step and a half back. It just feels like it feels like the Packer win didn't even happen now. I know it did, obviously, but it feels like it
You're
didn't.
right. It totally negated it. You went from a chance to be 6-4 with the Falcons coming up, which at least a legitimate chance to get to 7-4, to now, who knows if we win that game, but then that's when the schedule gets tough. Then you're playing the Rams, who are really, really good. You're playing the 49ers. You're playing the Seahawks, who are playing as well as anybody
Tampa
in the
twice.
NFL. You're playing Tampa twice. So Michael Kay from The Observer, who does a great job, tweeted a thing today that about, that Bryce, we've only completed one pass over 30 yards or whatever it was. There's 39 quarterbacks in the NFL who have longer completions than Bryce Young this season, including Justin Fields, Jacoby Brissett, Cam Ward, Jackson Dart. So when you're not able to throw the ball downfield and the team takes the run away from you and all you can throw are these little 10-yard this, 10-yard that, you're not going to win. And Bryce doesn't have a strong enough arm either to zip the ball. Last night when you even watching Aaron Rodgers play, as old as he is, and he can't move, but he still has a cannon. Tyler Shuck yesterday. I mean, we didn't know what we were getting with him. Everybody made fun of the Saints for even drafting him. Everybody made fun of them when they took Rattler out and put him in. The guy's 26 years old, a rookie. He's like a Chris Winkie kind of guy without the baseball. He just had injuries. And he made more throws that were downfield, tough throws, and looked like a leader of men out there. And I don't know what the rest of his career will be, but like you said, if I had to buy stock in him or Bryce, I'm loading up on him. So I'm done with Bryce. Now, here is the quandary that the Panthers are in. There's no solution. There's not a solution on the roster. They're not going to draft high enough to get one of the big 3 or 4 out of college. And the teams that they would even be competing with to get those have 2 first-round picks, the Browns, the Jets. So they're not getting a Mendoza. They're not going to get a Simpson. They're not going to get a Sand. So maybe they get lucky and a Sellers drops to them, who I'm not sold on either. But my point is, there's not an answer on the roster. The draft is going to be starting over again. They can't afford to trade their picks and go up and get somebody like they already did with Bryce, because they already been down that road and failed. So there's not an answer immediately. Bryce has got one more year left under his contract. They can't extend him, in my opinion. No way can you give this guy an extension. Maybe they can trade him, but you can't go out and get a Kyler Murray. You can't bring in another 5'10" quarterback here that we've already seen that doesn't work. Maybe the 49ers would be willing to trade Purdy or Mac Jones after this season. But again, do you trust Mac Jones to come here on our system and do what he's doing on their Schottenheimer system? I don't, because it's night and day. Shanahan, excuse me. Shanahan system. It ain't like he's got a bunch of great wide receivers out there either. They just get open and make plays, and Mac Jones can throw the ball downfield. So I'm done with the Bryce Young experiment. That's not to say he might go out and have some good games. Like I said, he's a good quarterback. He's just not a difference maker. He's not going to lead your team to where you want to go, and he can't carry a team when they need to be carried. And yesterday was a great example of that. When the Saints sold out against the run, we couldn't do anything, and Bryce threw for 124 yards, an interception, really 2, and couldn't lead this team.
No, and there was a point, it was either in the third quarter or start of the fourth quarter where Schler said, Bryce Young is going to have to go win this game today.
Yep.
They can't run the ball. The Saints aren't going to allow Dowdle to get loose. So this is on Bryce Young, and he couldn't do it. And it's just, he does not give you the feeling that he can go win the game. Can they win games if the formula is there with Dowdle running for over 100 yards and the defense making some plays? Yes. Well, yesterday the defense didn't make plays. Dowdle couldn't run, and Bryce Young surely wasn't going to go out there and win that game.
And let me tell you, I don't know if they have a stat for this, but if they don't, anybody watching or listening, any of you stat geeks out there that know how to use the chat GBTs and all those things a hell of a lot better than I do, the Panthers have got to lead the NFL by a wide margin in getting close to the quarterback without touching them. It is infuriating. We get back to the quarterback and can't get a hand on him or can't get him down. I mean, there was a couple big times yesterday where we're back there, we get a hand on him, and Shuck makes a play downfield. We've got to lead the NFL in that. And Scorton, so far, to me, he's going to be a player. I think Scorton is going to be a player. Umanilin, jury's out, shows flashes, and then it disappears. But Scorton, to me, is a dog. I think that Dan Morgan nailed this draft. I think we've got a lot of guys in this draft that are going to be contributors. We see Tet, we see Scorton. Etienne, I think will have a get better as he goes along. But to trade next year's draft, to waste a first round pick, regardless of where we pick, on a quarterback that you're going to have to wait for, just sets his team back. So this team is in a bad spot, and it seems like we've been saying that about this team for a long damn time. I also am pissed. Enough of this crappy field. Like, J.C. Horn slips and falls twice yesterday.
Yep.
The dude, it didn't like the dude slipping off. You watch J.C. Horn play. Do you remember him slipping? I don't.
Yeah.
But twice yesterday on this field that I was at the Charlotte FC game Friday night. The field's atrocious.
And don't get me started about there should be grass there, but it's not. We know why Tepper's not going to go back to grass, even though the players want it. But it should have never gone to field turf. But that's
enough of the field. And here's the deal with this Panther team. There's glimpses of hope.
Take a deep breath.
There's glimpses of hope.
Yeah, there's glimpses.
And I talked about last week with Canals. You hear the process. Well, we do see that they are on the right path in a lot of ways, but the same things keep biting them in the ass.
Yeah.
Lack of preparation, lack of adjustments, and Bryce Young can't carry a team. And name me one team in the NFL right now that's in the playoff hunt that has a quarterback that can't carry him. Name me one.
Yeah. And look, this defense, yes. Is it better than it was last year? Yes, it is. It's against the run. Obviously, it's better. It's a better overall defense, but it's still not an elite defense.
No.
And it's not going to go out there every week and give you chances to win by itself.
Yep.
We've talked about it. The formula has to be there. Run the ball, play good defense, and Bryce has to make some plays. He didn't make any plays yesterday.
None.
And they are not going to win by just running Rico Dowdle 25 times and playing defense. And that was a blip on the radar, beating the Packers the way they did last. It's not sustainable week in and week out.
I mean, if I told you normally that Bryce was 17 for 25, you'd probably think the Panthers, if they didn't win, had a shot, because that's about the window they want Bryce in. That normally means we ran the ball effectively.
But he's averaging 5 yards a pass.
Exactly. And
5 yards a pass.
Exactly. And, Canales, after the game, when they asked him about the lack of throwing the ball downfield, I thought his answer was embarrassing. Well, we look at that in practice, and we're watching the film, and that's something that we're working on. Give me a break, dude. Yeah. You're losing to the damn Saints.
Yeah,
throw the ball downfield. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're throwing another interception?
You're working on it after 10 games?
Yeah, I mean
we're talking about middle of November here.
He
now.
doesn't trust his quarterback.
No, he doesn't.
And I don't think there's any way they're going to extend Bryce Young. I think Canales and Dan Morgan knew last year when they benched Bryce that he's not the guy, and I think they knew that that's what they have to live with.
DJ, go back to when they benched Bryce last year. When Andy started, it was noticeable by a long look how noticeable different the offense looked.
No question.
Dave Canales way more willing to take chances down the field, throw the ball down the field with Andy Dalton than he was with Bryce. Now, when Bryce came back, he did that a little bit, and that goes back to Josh Norris and the stats that he had this morning. But for whatever reason, this year he's not doing it. He's not throwing the ball downfield. It goes back to trust. Dave Canales does not trust his quarterback, and if you don't trust your quarterback, dude, what are you doing?
You're screwed.
What are we doing here?
And listen, Canales isn't going to come out and say that, and I get that. I understand that, but at the end of the day, no one's expecting this team to win the Super Bowl. No one's expecting this team really to make the playoffs. And we started getting maybe a little hope and looking at the standings a little bit over the last few weeks. But if we don't make the playoffs and we show progress, which we have 5 wins already. Yeah. But if he's coaching like we have the 86 Bears defense.
No, you don't.
And you don't. And not only do you not, you have a big decision with Bryce coming up. In a game like yesterday's, when you say, all right, let's see if this dude can carry us. Let's see.
Yeah, we're not running today. Offense is going to have to go through Bryce Young today.
Yep.
It would ideally, we'd love it to go through Rico Dowdle, but it's not today. So we got to adjust. Let's adjust our game plan. Bryce, go win the game for us.
And guess what?
Go make some plays.
What the Saints did yesterday is what the Panthers are going to see now every week. They're going to load up on stopping Dowdle, and they're going to go, all right, Bryce, beat us. Because we don't think you can.
Yeah, if the Falcons don't do that next Sunday, then the whole staff should be fired.
I agree. I mean, teams are going to follow what the Saints did, load up against the run, and say, Bryce, beat us, big boy. And if you do, we'll take our hat off and tip it to you. And you know what? Maybe over these last 5-6 games, we see a different Bryce Young that we've seen before and maybe consistent. But I don't trust that at all. I don't think Bryce has it in him. He doesn't he doesn't have the arm to zip these balls 15, 20 yards downfield. Even on the accurate throws, he throws 15, 20 yards. They seem like they're always floating or they take forever to get there. And he's just not it. And again, I like Bryce, and I think Bryce is a great guy. And I think he'll be a quarterback in this league for another 10 years. But I think it's going to be holding a clipboard because he's not a starting quarterback that can get you where you want to go. And I know there's not a lot of those guys, right? Those are hard to find. We were lucky that we had Cam Newton for all those years, who was that guy.
Yeah,
Cam Newton could sit there and take over a game with his arm or his legs when he had to. And he was a dog. Bryce Young does not have any skill set that puts him up in the high echelon of quarterback. He doesn't have it. So I've seen enough of it. And I'm not saying bench Bryce. I mean, look, he's what we got. Right. And he's what we got next year too. So go ahead and saddle in and understand that this is what we've got on offense. I don't give a damn if you bring in Devontae Smith, Devontae Adams, any other Devontae. I don't care who you bring in. You could bring in Kittle and Kelsey. I don't care. Bryce can't get the ball downfield consistently. And there's a reason why a coach like Dave Canales, again, Mr. Offensive Guru, quarterback whisperer, is not throwing the ball downfield. He did with Baker. He did with Geno. He did with Russell. Yeah. Why is he not doing it, Bryce? Because he doesn't trust him, because he knows he can't do it consistently. And that's a crap spot for him to be in. It's a crap spot for this team to be in. And I'm not trying to be doom and gloom, but he's what we got for the next year and a half.
And look, we sat here last Monday and talked about, you give Dave Canales credit because he went into the Packers game and he realized, look, my offensive line's beat up. Let's try to run the ball. Let's play solid defense. Let's play field position. And it worked. To his credit, that formula worked last week. It's not going to work every week. And yesterday, he tried to do it again, and the Saints weren't going to allow it. Right? It's not happening today. Bryce Young, number 9, he's going to have to go out there and beat us, and he couldn't do it. And it's just, you're right. It's just he does not give you the feeling like, all right, everything else, Bryce, go win us the game. I feel good about his. No, you don't. You don't feel like he is going to go out there and be able to do that for you.
The other thing that irks me with Canales is that if you remember during the first, I think, 2 or 3 games of the season, you were filling in for Frank, and we talked about this. Bryce Young, to me, when you come out and you get him in a rhythm early, you let him throw the ball early. It seems that he does carry that through the game. When and I understand you want to establish run, all that crap. I get it. But it seems to me that Canales still just dips his toe in the water. we've seen enough that Bryce is better when you get him in a rhythm early. Get him in a damn rhythm.
I kept waiting for that yesterday for him to go up tempo, to change things up.
Yes.
And yeah, we have seen it time after time after time again. You're right. When it's like he's not thinking, he just boom, he's doing. Boom, he's doing.
Yep.
I was really surprised Dave Canales didn't try to change the go a little up tempo yesterday. Just
me too.
To get him in that rhythm.
We've seen Bryce excel when we do that.
Yeah.
Like, and that's another thing. Like, this is not all Bryce. I'm not saying that, because I do think that Canales is failing him to an extent, because he knows what, we all see with our own eyes. Commentators say it. Bryce is better when you get him in rhythm early. Go up tempo, get him in a rhythm, get his confidence going. The reason Canales doesn't do that, in my opinion, is because he's scared he's going to throw an early interception, and then he's going to do what we've seen against the Saints or the Falcons or whoever. But so what? Like, so what? Fans, the teammates would much rather go out there with their hair on fire and leave it all on the field and say, we got to just give it what we got, than sit there and just, it's like, I've said this before. Sometimes when you watch the Panthers play, you feel like they're playing in a library. Don't be too loud. Right. Don't piss anybody off. Don't create any of this. Don't create any of that. Their offense. You remember the game that they used to have at sports bars? Remember the old scoreboard on Independence Boulevard where you could guess the plays every time?
Right.
If they had that game, we would probably go 95% when we're doing the Panthers, because it's so easy to predict. And Schlereth, who I think has done a really good job. He gets every damn Panther game.
I was going to say, him and Chris Myers are basically the voice of the Panthers.
I mean, the Panthers should hire him as a damn consultant, because he sees a lot of things in the booth that the teams don't see. I think that the Panthers coaching staff, when they watch game film, should actually watch the TV film and listen to what Schlereth says, because they probably will pick up a few pointers. Yeah. But this isn't all on Bryce. I don't think Canales is putting him in a situation to succeed as much as Bryce can succeed. But I also understand why he's doing that, and it's because he doesn't trust him. He doesn't trust him. He's afraid he's going to throw an interception. He's afraid he's going to make a bad decision. He's afraid he's going to, the ball security. We saw it again yesterday. That, to me, that was on Jimmy Horn Jr. Yeah. He didn't get his arm down. Right. So I don't put that on Bryce. But anyway, enough of the Panthers have got to find a quarterback. I don't know what the solution is, but it certainly isn't going to happen this year, and it ain't going to happen next year. So go ahead and buckle in, because Bryce is the guy. There's no way they can extend him. It wouldn't surprise me to see them try to trade him in the offseason. But what are you going to get for him?
Well, then you're looking at, is this a rest of the year audition for Bryce?
Could be.
It feels like we're back to this.
Could be.
It felt like he had established himself as, all right, he's the guy. There's nothing to worry about here. Now I think you're back in that. I'm not sure. He may not be the guy. He may be auditioning for his future here. But
I mean, you hear guys crap on court. Oh, he's just a game manager. He's just a game manager. Bryce isn't even a game manager.
Yeah.
I mean, he's not a game manager. He you mentioned it. When we're running the ball effectively and playing good defense, Bryce can throw the ball 17 times, 5 yards here, 10 yards here, not turn it over, and we can win games. But I would dare to say that every quarterback in the NFL could, not everyone, because Russell Wilson certainly can't, but most of the other quarterbacks can probably do that.
I mean,
look at Jacoby Brissett.
Yeah, you would almost, and I'm being kind of facetious here, but you would almost love to see the Panthers get down 20-0, because then okay, now he doesn't have a choice. He's going to have to turn Bryce.
Well, we saw it against the Falcons. The Arizona Cardinals.
Yeah, so
I mean, you're right. And when we were down and they're throwing the ball over the field, he threw for 350 yards. Again, that wasn't all Bryce. The defense was definitely laid off there, kicking our butts. Yeah. But something's got to change. And you know what? We're playing the Falcons next week. We're back to being underdogs where we're much more comfortable. We've now lost 11 straight games as a favorite over the last however many years.
That was a cold bucket of water yesterday for anybody who was excited last week. And man, I know saw David Newton tweeted out, first time all year, more fans here for the Panthers than there are for the other team and all that. That was a cold bucket of water, like, wah, 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 wah. Charlie Brown kicking a football. You're who we thought you were. And you're still that team.
And myself, you, Frank, all the Panther fans that I'm buddies with at the bar that I hang out with or wherever, we all said, every one of us said, man, this is where the Panthers panther. I mean, we think they're going to win. I thought they were going to roll. I thought we were going to see them come out with confidence and beat the doors off the Saints, who had their two best offensive linemen out. They traded their second best receiver away. They had a rookie making, I believe, his first start on the road.
Yep.
This lined up to be a game where if you're going to be a good football team, you come out and you blow their doors off. And they did the exact freaking opposite.
And they got off to a great start. First drive went right down the field.
Right down the field.
But that was it.
That was it.
That was the highlight of the
guess
day.
what? When we got our doors blown off by the Patriots, who now have turned out to be, by the way, one of the best teams in the NFL, Drake May is the next superstar of this league. But we scored on the first drive on that game.
Yep.
And then we didn't score again until I think we gave up 35 straight points or something. So this team has got a lot of holes. We know that. No one expected them to be a Super Bowl contender this year. We are on the right path in a lot of ways. Dan Morgan has done a very good job, in my opinion, on the draft as well as free agency. He rebuilt the offensive line last season. This year, like you said, the defensive line is definitely better. We're definitely better against the run. You can't fix this crap team that he inherited in 2 off seasons. It's going to take time. But when you're fixing these holes and you're plugging these holes and you don't have a quarterback that is a game-changing quarterback that has something he does that excels, that is then in the top echelon of quarterbacks, you're not going to be a playoff contender consistently, and you're not going to win consistently. And we saw that yesterday, and it sucks that we're in that spot again. But that's where we are, and that's just the way it is. That's just facts. And I know some people go, "Oh, this ain't Bryce's fault, and Bryce still can be this, and Bryce can still be that." You know what? I hope I'm wrong. But I'm not.
Yeah, and you use the word, playoff caliber team and all that. Can we just do this? Not use the P word anymore. I don't care if they go to Atlanta next week and win another 30-0 game. Let's just don't use the P word.
Yeah.
With this team.
Yep.
Let's see if they can, before you start talking that, they have to build off something. And they proved it again yesterday. They're not ready yet. They're not there. And that's okay, because I think if everybody takes a step back, if I had told you after 10 games they're going to be 5-5, nobody wouldn't have signed up for it.
Yep.
But it's the frustration that I know you're feeling, and a lot of fans feel, is like you see them play one way, and then the next week they don't come out prepared, that next week. And that's why this team is not used to winning. They haven't had success. And when they do get success, they certainly don't know how to handle it. And that's something that Dave Canales has got to change. And he's probably got to change his way. And I'll go back to what I said earlier. When you win a game like you won last week in Green Bay, that's when you probably got to be harder the next week, because there's that threat of a letdown, and you saw it yesterday. Yeah,
no doubt. Well, they go to play Atlanta this weekend. Atlanta coming off a heartbreaking loss to the Colts. This is certainly a game we could win, and I do expect to see a much better performance from the Panthers this week. I think that one thing we have seen this year is that, after they get their doors blown off by Buffalo, they go and win a Green Bay. I think this team does have enough character and grit. The other thing that I want to bring up about the Panthers, and then before we go further on football, I want to switch over to our Charlotte Hornets, because the state of Charlotte sports the last 10 years is now reached the precipice of enough. And we'll get to that in a minute. But who are the leaders on this football team? Derek Brown, I would say.
That goes without saying. He is the leader. I would say he's not only the leader on defense. To me, he's the leader of this team. Yeah. He is the guy. I agree. He's the face of this franchise.
Who's the leader on offense?
It should be Bryce.
Correct.
It's supposed to be Bryce.
It's not.
But I don't get that feeling.
We don't have a leader. We don't have, and look, we can talk about Cam all day long, and Cam was that guy, right?
Yeah, no question.
And not everybody's that. But there's not a leader on this offense.
I mean, Taylor Moton, but he's a quiet dude. He's not going to say a lot.
Yep.
And he's certainly well respected. I love Taylor Moton.
I do too.
I think he's done a hell of a job. And if he played for another franchise, he would get way more credit than he does here playing for the Panthers.
Yep.
But he's not that vocal guy. Maybe he does speak up in the locker room. Obviously, I'm not in there as much as anybody else, but he's not that rah-rah guy that, is going to be on the sideline going up and down. And you see Bryce, I don't know, man. He just doesn't give you the impression.
He's not a leader.
Yeah.
And honestly, Dave Canales doesn't really show me leadership skills from the standpoint.
Yeah, there was a point yesterday, and this bothered me. And maybe I'm nitpicking here, but it was late in the game. I want to say it was under 2 minutes to go. And the defense was out, and the game was basically over. And Canales is over there applauding and clapping. I'm just like, Dave, what are you applauding about? Your team came out here and laid an egg today. You should be. I would be furious if I was Dave Canales.
Look at the
and start with yourself being furious, but I just thought that was
look at look at the coaches in this league that are having success. Look at Sirianni. Look at LaFleur. Look at Shanahan. Look at Vrabel. I can keep going. These coaches aren't sitting there clapping when you're getting your asses handed to you at home.
Yeah.
They're up their players' butts. And those players know that there's accountability, that if you're not doing your job, you will be out of the game. Look at what Vrabel has done with Trayvon Henderson. You know, one of the top 2 rookie running backs coming out, he barely gets on the field. Even when Stevenson fumbles the ball 4 or 5 times in the first 3 games, he didn't like the way that Henderson was practicing. He didn't like this, didn't like that. He keeps him on the sideline the majority of the season so far. And the last 2 weeks, Stevenson's out. He gives Henderson a shot. Yeah. And what are we seeing now? Henderson's playing. He's playing great.
DJ, we saw Pete Carroll Thursday night. You know, the Broncos and Raiders in that god awful game. The only reason the Raiders were in that game were special teams. Friday, Pete Carroll fired his special teams coach because they got into it on the sideline. AJ Cole was the best player the Raiders had out there the other night, punting the ball. But Pete Carroll's like, damn it, you're gone.
And that guy had been with Pete through all those years in Seattle. Right. So you're right. I mean, there's just no accountability. And, all the rah-rah, cheerleading stuff, process, we got to watch film. Remember when you and I worked together at WFNZ all those years when John Fox was here, and it was the same thing. He got to the point where he just hated dealing with the media. Yes. It is what it is.
Absolutely.
Blah, blah, blah. Yep. Well,
he got tired of hearing himself speak.
Yeah. And with Canales, it's like, okay, all right, you're a great dude. You're a super nice guy. I mean, you could babysit my kids. I'd trust you. You could date my daughter. I'd trust you. But we need to see some fire out of that dude. Yeah. Maybe he shows it in the locker room. Maybe he shows it at practice. I don't know. But he doesn't show it on the sideline. And at some point in time, when you're men and you are out there in a combat sport, beating the hell out of each other, and other guys on the team are not carrying their weight, you are looking to your coach to get up somebody's ass. Yeah. And Canales doesn't do it. And again, the jury's still out on Canales.
Yeah, sure.
He may end up being a great coach.
Sure.
I do think that he's shown the ability to learn and make some changes. Although in the second half of this game, I lost a lot of confidence because he didn't do anything. When Mark Schlereth is calling you out on TV for not even adjusting your protections, when everyone in the stadium can see what's going on, failing to throw the ball downfield, all the things we discussed, there's a lot of room for growth there. Is he going to be the guy that can coach this team for the next 5-6 years? I hope so, but I don't have the confidence in it. So enough on the Panthers. Maybe we go to Atlanta. I do think you're going to see a much better performance by the Panthers, whether we win or not. That's a whole different ball game. I would think we would again, if Canales looks at tape and learns and like we think he does, you would think that you would see us go downfield more. You would think that you would see it, but he doesn't trust his quarterback.
I think it'll get you in trouble, though, because you would think that, but then that doesn't necessarily mean.
I thought that.
And here's the thing that worries you about Sunday is the Falcons got embarrassed here.
Sure did.
First game, 30-0.
Yep.
And that's one of those games you like, how the hell do you lose 30-0 to the Panthers? I'm sure the way they've handled it up in Green Bay this week, and that probably made it worse yesterday. Like, how in the world did we lose to that team?
Yeah.
So the Falcons, as unpredictable as they are, you would think the Panthers are going to get the Falcons' best shot next week because those guys were embarrassed here. Tough loss, as you said, in Berlin. They're going to be ready to go.
Yeah,
I think.
No question. I mean, it's certainly not going to be a cakewalk like it was here in Charlotte. Again, I want to get into college football, but before we do that, while we're on the state of Charlotte sports and the guys on these teams that are supposed to be the leaders, let's switch over.
I'm not just supposed to be playing.
Let's switch over to the Charlotte Hornets.
Ugh.
I'm done with Melo Ball. Done.
Yep.
Is the dude talented? Yep. Is he a damn good player? Yep. But guess what? The dude don't play. He doesn't play. And I don't want to hear about his ankle and all this crap. Yeah. I don't want to hear about the Hornets training staff. They've, the new ownership last year brought in all new top of the line trainers and all these things.
No.
The dude don't play. And you can't, especially on this Hornet team right now, which, by the way, we rarely talk about the Hornets because they rarely have done anything to talk about in the last 10 years. But I'm talking about him right now because when you watch this Hornet team play, I've been to 2 games already, which are 2 more than I went to last year. I've been a Hornet fan since day one, diehard. When you watch this Hornet team play right now, and you see 3 rookies in Knipple, Klonbrenner, and Sion James busting their ass, playing great, doing it on both sides of the floor, and leading this team.
Yeah.
It drives me crazy that they're almost being hung out to dry because there's not a veteran on this team, minus Colin Sexton, who missed last game.
Right.
He has at least shown me some leadership. But Miles Bridges tries, and Miles is what Miles is, right? Miles is going to score 30 one night, and he's going to go 2 for 40 the next night.
By the way, he's questionable tonight with a back.
I know. And Melo's already been announced.
Yeah,
Not playing. And Brandon Miller never plays.
Right.
Never.
Yep.
Never. So if you're now, the one thing I think the Hornets did in this draft is they drafted guys who play. They drafted dudes who love basketball, who have a will to win, who are going to fight and play 100%. They're going to fight through injuries and are going to give it their all.
And DJ, I have said that since day one with LaMelo Ball. I don't think he loves basketball. I think he loves everything around basketball.
I think he loves tattoos. I think he loves cars and go-karts.
Right. But he doesn't love playing basketball.
Yep.
It's just a job. It's not his passion.
It's time for him to go. And you can say that maybe they won't get what they should for him. I don't care. I don't care. Sometimes there's addition by subtraction.
Yep.
You're going to save money if you get rid of them. You're going to get somebody in there, hopefully, that can play and just enough. Like, you can't build a winning team when your best player never plays. Every game he's questionable. He'll come back and look great for 2 games, and then he sits out for 6. Same with Brandon Miller, by the way. You know, the dude had a great rookie year. I think Brandon Miller could be a very good player. He did have the unfortunate injury last year with his wrist. I'm not saying that wasn't real deal. It was a real deal injury. Now with the shoulder, I understand that. But obviously the dude's fragile. Obviously the dude needs to be wrapped in bubble wrap because he can't play more than 15 games and without getting hurt.
See, it feels different with him. Yes, he's injury prone, but I do feel like he at least loves playing basketball.
Yeah, I would give you that.
I don't get that from LaMelo Ball. I don't get the feel. And I'll go back to last year when he was hurt and sitting on the bench, and they're getting their doors blown off, and he's over there laughing and cutting out. That to me just told me everything I need to know. The dude's not serious about playing basketball.
I would much rather have a guy out there that has half the talent of Melo, but is going to give 100%, and you can count on them.
Yes,
you got to be able to count on your leaders. And the Panthers and the Hornets have no freaking leaders that you can count on. And
well, I think the Hornets are developing a leader.
They are.
To me, I think is heading in that direction.
No doubt about it.
And it might be by default because Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball aren't out there. But at least with Knipple, as you said, I can watch that dude, and you got that even when he was at Duke. And like, this dude loves playing ball.
Yep.
He wants to be out there. He wants to get better. And I think for all the bad that goes with this organization, I think they've done a good job in this past draft. I think these guys have shown they can be the foundation. But when you don't have supposedly your 2 main guys out there at all, and they never play together. They never play together. They don't even play at all. It is hard to build something when you don't have those guys out there. But I've said this for 2 years. I think that they waited. They should have dealt LaMelo 2 off seasons ago. They didn't. I'm sure they're scared to death. Fans are going to get mad. I don't care at this point. I think fans that were even diehard LaMelo supporters have got to have gotten to the point where they're like, I'm done with it, just like you are.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
I think the majority of them have. There are still some guys I'll see on Twitter and these things that are still, oh, y'all are crazy, whatever. Yeah. But whatever, dude. Look at the film. Look at the box score. Look at the DNPs, the do not play. You know that Brandon Miller and LaMelo Ball, if I'm not mistaken, in the last 2.5 years have played together 41 times. Yeah. 41 times.
Yeah.
Those are your 2 best players. They don't ever play.
Right.
And like you said, Sexton missed last game, and I get, Sexton I think has been a great addition, and I think he is a leader. And I think if Melo Ball were to be traded, I think Sexton could step in and do a solid job at point guard. I brought this up with you last Monday, I think it was, that I would have no problem swinging for the fences
for
Ja Morant, knowing that you could whiff and it could be a total disaster, but you could also get him a guy who has as much talent as anybody in the NBA, who's from North Carolina, I believe, who would obviously, if he came here, be looking to redeem himself and prove to the NBA that he is him and not was him. And I would have no problem with taking a chance on that, because you know what? At the end of the day, that dude, minus getting suspended for stupid crap, when he does play until this season, he played hard. He was a great player. Now, some people go, well, he doesn't drive as much as he used to. He's this, and that. I think a lot of that is just the circumstances that he's in on that team, and he doesn't like the coaching staff. He doesn't like the fact that he doesn't play as much now because their new head coach believes in rotating all these players to keep everybody's minutes down. I would have no problem swinging for the fence on Morant, and if it works, great. If it doesn't, so be it.
But have you put has LaMelo Ball now put this team, if they did want to trade him, are people really going to reach out and say, yeah, I'll take a guy who never plays? I mean, what?
Well, I think here's what I think about Melo. And this is, again, typical of what happens to Charlotte sports teams. What would happen with Melo is they're going to trade him to Golden State or Minnesota or somebody like that. Yeah. And he's going to turn into the Melo we all dreamed we had. Right. And he's going to be motivated, and he's going to play, and his ankle impingement is going to no longer be impinged. Right. And the dude's going to be unbelievable. And I'm okay. I accept that, because that ain't the Melo we're going to get.
At least it's not our problem around here anymore.
Right.
It's somebody else's
but
problem.
We know that ain't the Melo we're going to get.
No.
And so if he goes somewhere else and becomes a superstar, which he absolutely 100% could, if he was on the Lakers, if he was on Golden State, a team that has veterans above him that can keep him motivated.
Well, maybe he'd love basketball if he was somewhere else, because he doesn't love it here.
But you couldn't tell me that if he goes to, and he's got LeBron and what's his name? Oh, Luka. That he wouldn't be more motivated. You couldn't tell me if you went to Golden State and he had Draymond Green and Stephon Curry up his ass every day in practice, he wouldn't be motivated. You couldn't tell me if he went to Minnesota with a guy like Anthony Edwards, who's a dog, he wouldn't be motivated. Here, who's motivating him?
Yeah.
Who? Because rookies, you mentioned it.
Eric Collins not motivated.
Yeah, Eric Collins can motivate me, but he ain't motivating Melo. And you know, what's he gonna say? Oh, dippity doo, Melo's on the bench again for game 2. I mean, what's he gonna freaking say? I mean, you know, so, and I love Eric Collins, but he ain't motivating Melo Ball. So, you know, Knipple, by the way, is playing as well as any rookie in the league. He's already hit more 3-pointers than any rookie in history in the NBA at this point in time.
And I hate to say it, Duke fans, he's playing better than Cooper Flagg right now.
100%. It's not even close.
Yeah.
The only rookie, right? There's 2 rookies that you could say are playing as well as Knipple right now, and that's VJ Edgecombe. Even though he's cooled off. He's cooled off a lot. Yeah. He had 2 points the other night. Yeah. And then Coward, for Memphis.
Yeah.
Those 2 boys are playing good, and our boys playing good. But Zion James is playing really good. 2nd-round pick.
Yeah.
Kalbrenner, 2nd-round pick, 2nd in the league in blocks behind Wemby.
Yep.
Playing good defense, highest field goal percentage in the NBA. I think McNeely's going to be good. He's just a young kid that needs a lot of time. And I like how our coach Lee is putting him in some to get him some experience. You can tell when he's out there, he's a little lost, but you can see the athleticism when he brings. I think he's going to be just fine. But you're right. But for a rookie in Knipple to be the leader of the team this early, it's not going to happen. Now, you give this another couple months of him doing what he's doing, especially with Knipple's mindset. He's a dog. Yeah. He wants to win.
Right.
And you see him when he plays. Everyone worried about, is he going to be able to play defense? Another 6'7" white boy that can shoot, but is he going to be able to move his feet? And dude's playing defense, and he's diving for balls, and he's. I mean, the dude's doing everything right now, and so he will eventually, I do think, lead to being the leader. I think getting Melo out of here will help expedite that.
I just don't. If you're Charles Lee, I don't know how Charles Lee does it. You know, almost on a daily basis when he has to come out and say, "Yeah, LaMelo's out again," and I would at some point I would just say, "I'm enough.
Yeah,
I can't do it anymore."
I mean, we play the Lakers tonight at home. I was offered tickets about 2 hours ago. It took me about 1.2 seconds, just as quickly as LaMelo decides not to play, to say, "Nah, I'm not going." Miller's out. Melo's out.
There'll be more Laker fans there than Hornets fans.
Sexton's probably out.
Yeah,
Bridges is questionable. Although I'll give Bridges credit. And we all know his story, and a lot of people hate him. A lot of people love him. I'll give Bridges credit. Dude plays. He does play hard. I mean,
yeah, look, I don't agree with everything that happened. Obviously, I wasn't a fan of him still being here.
Yep.
But as far as just pure basketball,
I mean
he's done what
I think they've got a lot bigger problems than him, and he does play. Yeah. And this year he has stepped up, in my opinion, to be more of a leader. But you know, Do I think he'll be on the team at the end of the year? Nope. I think he's definitely going to get traded. But I think it's time to trade Melo. Enough of this crap. And by the way, you got to think that Coach Lee, when he's getting up and putting his game stuff together every morning, not knowing until shoot around.
That's
Melo's
what
playing,
I mean. The frustration level for me would be through the roof. Knowing I can't depend on this dude.
I mean, how do you put a game plan together when you don't know if he's playing?
Right.
And that's in any business. If you run a sales department and you don't know if your top seller is gonna bust his butt and is he here today, or he hadn't been in the office all day, what's he doing? Is he playing golf? Like, it's any business. If you can't count on your best guy to lead and to perform at the level that he's paid to perform, it makes it damn near impossible to win.
I know the NBA would not allow this, but if I were the Hornets, I would take the number off LaMelo's jersey and put a question mark. That should be in place of his number.
I'm surprised they don't let you do that.
Right.
I mean, especially with now all the memes and whatever the hell they call them that everyone's doing. Yeah, put a nice big question mark on there. And, when he plays, you can turn it into a 1. But when he doesn't, I agree. I'm done with it.
Yeah.
I'm done with it.
I'm over it.
And this is where we are, Charlotte sports. I haven't even got into Charlotte football yet because they got whooped by East Carolina this weekend, and there doesn't seem to be much. I do like their coach, but he doesn't have anything to work with. I don't know how that changes. If you're a Charlotte sports fan, it's very frustrating right now.
Charlotte FC had a good run in the playoffs.
Good run.
It ended obviously in a defeat.
Good run, but lose 2 at home, which they don't lose hardly ever at home.
Yeah.
But you're right. They got in the playoffs. We at least see growth of them year after year, and hopefully we'll see that again. But and with the Panthers again, we're seeing some positivity. We are seeing that this process they talk about seems they're sticking with the blueprint,
but they're not there yet.
They're not there yet, and we shouldn't expect them to be. We, like I said, we have 5 wins right now. How many do we have last year?
4, 3.
I don't even remember.
Yeah, it was 5 and 12, right?
Whatever. I think it's worse than that. I think we're already 1 game.
13.
But regardless, we see that, like you said, 10 games in, would you take 5 wins? Hell yeah. And so we see that. But we also see that for this team to get to the next level, there's many holes to fill, but the main one is quarterback, because Bryce Young is not a guy that's going to make a huge difference and carry a team when they need to be carried, regardless of what quarter, regardless of what game, regardless of where you're playing. So all the positivity that we see, that's great, but there's some big holes to fill. And I'm guessing that the rest of the season, we're going to see a lot of these same issues. We're going to see some spurts of time.
Yeah, you'll see some glimpses of greatness, but then you'll see not glimpses of greatness.
Yeah, and I don't even know if greatness is
I don't know. I
think we might see glimpses of good.
Good. I probably carried it a little too far.
Yeah, maybe glimpses of good.
Yeah.
All right. Now that I'm done with the rants on the Panthers and the Hornets, let's jump into college football. Another crazy week of college football. We see the cream is starting to rise to the top.
Except in the ACC, where we don't know who
there's no cream and there's no crop. ACC is putrid.
Oh,
I mean,
2 really bad losses.
I mean, Wake Forest goes to Virginia and knocks them off.
Louisville loses at home to Cal.
Louisville loses to Cal. Oh. Clemson does wake up, but they beat a crappy Florida State.
DJ. I said that Saturday, and I was like, Florida State's at Clemson tonight, and nobody cares.
I remember how that used to be the biggest game. Yes. We would get so fired up, and now you're right. Nobody cared, and good for Clemson. I know it felt good to get a win at home. The fans needed it, but you're right. They still may not even make a damn bowl game. Yeah. And they got a game this week. They got to win to continue to at least try to get to a bowl game, which I know is not what their fans wanted. But Ohio State, to me, is still by far the best team in the country. I think they've got by far the best defense. They've got the best receiver in college football. Tate might be in the top 5 receivers.
And he didn't even play Saturday.
Didn't even play. Sand has turned into what everybody thought he would be, which he looks like. I mean, he's definitely one of the top 3 quarterbacks in the country. Yep. To me, Ohio State's going to be a tough out. And they have Michigan. That obviously the last game, Michigan's had their number lately, but I don't think Michigan's going to score enough. I think Ohio State could win that game 14-3. I don't think that Michigan's going to be able to score much on that defense. I think they're the best team. I think Alabama has gotten in a really good groove. They can't run the ball, which I think is going to be a problem, which I don't understand, because they've got a great running back, but they can't run the ball. They've got Oklahoma coming to Alabama this weekend. Alabama's a 6.5-point favorite. Oklahoma coming off a big win 2 weeks ago. So I'm excited to see that game. I think if Mateer can get back to the Mateer he was at the beginning of the year, that should be a good game. Ole Miss, obviously played Citadel, so that doesn't really count. But I do think Ole Miss is a team that could be dangerous. We've got Texas going to Georgia.
That's a huge game.
And you know what? For all the people who have crapped on Arch Manning, and he has more commercials during the game, the completions, and all the things we've heard about him. Last couple games, he's been finding it.
Yeah.
We saw when they were down to Mississippi State, when they made that comeback, and they let him go, and he was unleashing the ball. We saw it the game after that. So Georgia though is going to be there at the end.
They just find a way.
They find a way. Their defense is legit. Kirby Smart makes as good of second half adjustments as any coach I've seen, and they're not turning the ball over on offense. And they just find a way. Georgia's going to be there. Alabama's going to be there. Ohio State's going to be there, and then Indiana.
Well, they are, but you didn't even mention the team that could be the best team in the SEC.
Texas A&M.
Texas A&M.
Yeah, I was getting to them because
go back to all that, and you obviously saw them beat Notre Dame, and I'm not sure people what they thought at the time, but I feel like they get better every week. Man.
Yeah. And
they're legit.
They've got speed everywhere.
Yeah, obviously, KC Concepcion coming from NC State. I'm not surprised at what he's doing there.
I mean, they literally, I think, have more speed than any team.
Yeah.
I mean, from the quarterback to the receivers to the running back to their defense. I mean, they've got speed everywhere. And Elko can coach.
Yep.
The dude can coach. You talk about a leader of men.
Yep.
When that dude talks, it almost scares you.
Yeah.
His weird glide looks like the king of the hill. He's over there and he scares you. But
Bobby,
come on, Bobby, come on now, we got to run a reverse here. But yeah, you're right. I mean, I think Texas A&M I would put right behind Ohio State.
Yep.
And Texas A&M plays South Carolina this week, so they're minus 18.5.
You mentioned Indiana, and obviously people are still
what a game
in awe. That was a great game, by the way. Give Penn State credit, man.
Mm-hmm.
They showed up Saturday. Yeah. With everything that's going on, fired James Franklin and all that, they bowed up, and they gave Indiana all they could handle. And if it wasn't for just an unbelievable catch that people are still talking about from Omar Cooper there in the back of the end zone, they might have had Indiana. But you look for Heisman moments. That was a Heisman moment for Francisco Mendoza.
Yep.
Who I know I brought this up. I had the pleasure of talking to him last year when he was at Cal and he came for ACC Media Day. I was really impressed with him. Super nice kid, very smart, and he's a hell of a football player. And that was a hell of a catch that Cooper made for him there on Saturday.
I'm going to tell you, when I watched Mendoza play, he reminds me of Mahomes in the standpoint of he's bigger than Mahomes. First of all, he's not as fast, but he can run.
Yeah, and I think that's part people kind of maybe don't talk about enough is his ability to use his legs.
No question. I mean, he can run. He's not as fast as Mahomes, but he can run. He's got a damn good arm, not as strong as Mahomes, but he can throw it from any angle. You saw a pass in that Penn State game where he sidearmed it. The touchdown pass that you're talking to Cooper, he had two guys hitting him. He jumped in the air knowing he's going to get hit and still threw a seed. Bryce Young can throw that.
And he's got that it, DJ.
He does.
I hate to bring this back to Bryce, but you watch a guy like that. He's got that it, man.
Yep.
He's just like you feel like he could go out and win us a game.
Yep. He wasn't going to let them lose.
We need him to go win a game. He could do it.
When you were watching that game, when they went down, and I think Penn State got hurt a little bit by their interim coach not having experience as the head coach, because I think the time management they could have done a little differently that may have helped them. But he did a great job, like you said. Penn State fought to the end. But when they got the ball back and they were down, if you're an Indiana fan or just somebody watching the game like I was, I knew they were going to go down there and score. Now, Penn State made it harder than I thought, and it took an incredible pass and an incredible catch, one of the best catches we've seen in a long time to get it done. But you're right. And if you saw the interview with Mendoza on the flight back, where he talked,
I saw the one on the field after the game.
Where he was emotional.
Yeah.
But on the plane, they were interviewing him, and he said, they asked him, you took a beating that game, you were playing through pain, all these things. And he said, look, I will die on that field. Yeah. I will die for my brothers. There was no way I was going to let these guys down. We were going to win that game. I don't care if I died on the field. And dude, when he said that,
you're ready to run through a wall for him.
I'm 53 years old. Sure. It made me want to go out there and fight for him. And the
he was last year. So,
well, and I like I said, I think the kid needs to stay.
yeah, I'm with you.
And he's going to get paid a lot of money if he does take. I don't think it'll be at South Carolina, by the way.
Oh yeah, there's already talk that Miami could be looking at him.
Miami, somebody's going to throw a big check, and he turned down money this year. He stayed for less, but I got to believe after the season he's had, he's out of there.
I think he could be leaving. I hate to say it. I hope I'm wrong. I think C.J. Bailey, NC State, is another guy. He's going to be very attractive.
And he's a great quarterback, man. Yep. Somebody's going to, they're definitely going to throw a checkbook at him. So, that's the world we live in with college athletics now. But, yeah, I mean, if Lenore Sellers is there at 9 or 10 and we're picking there, I think I'd have a hard time not taking a swing at it, even though I know there would be safer bets and you don't want to miss on your first round pick because it does set you back. And I have a feeling that we're going to see that because Bryce is not going to be the quarterback that can take us to where we want to go. Thank you guys for joining us. Hopefully you guys feel a little better after, I know I do, after this counseling session.
Could have another one next Monday, though. Who knows?
We could have another one next Monday. And I hope we don't. I will say this, the shows are much easier to do after a game like this when we want to vent and get things off our chest as opposed to after the Green Bay game where we're still kind of in shock. And then our brains start thinking all these things about playoffs and looking at the schedule and all these things. But hopefully the Panthers bring it and we see a better performance on Sunday. Like I said, a great college football card this weekend, highlighted by Oklahoma and Alabama, Texas and Georgia. So have a great weekend. We'll be back Friday, though, first. I forgot. It's only Monday. See, I got so pissed off. Yep. I forgot it's only Monday. It's going to be a long week. Please let us get to Friday. I don't even know who the Thursday night NFL game is, but they've been so – actually, I think it's
Patriots.
Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Well, at least we can watch Drake May.
I hope Al and Kirk have some good film material.
God, at least we can watch Drake May because that kid is the next face of the NFL.
I was really surprised they beat Tampa yesterday.
I was too. And listen, Drake didn't throw the ball as crisply as he had been. And I think it was Tony Romo made a point about how certain guys throwing motions in the rain and the way they release the ball, it affects them a little bit more. And he said Drake May appeared to have that going on, but the dude still found ways to win. Yep. And that's what you want in your quarterback. Yep. And we don't have it. All right. Everybody have a good week. We'll see you Friday.